Hairstylist, when does it end? When will you actually start to put yourself first so you can make more money, keep more money, and do it without feeling guilty? I'll tell you when. Right mother effing now. Welcome to the Make That Money podcast with Nina Tulio, where we talk all things pricing, all things profit, and how to build your business with confidence. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Make That Money podcast. Get ready because I'm going to share the two mistakes I see the most in our industry and how they affect you in the way that you're growing your business. So I'm going to just get into it right now because I like to keep these episodes short and sweet. The two mistakes: number one, undercharging; number two, overspending. So I already have episodes here for you that you can go back and listen to when it comes to undercharging. And that is episode 7. So the impact of undercharging, go back and listen to episode 7. Because when you're undercharging, I've shared this a million times, your prices are the foundation to your business. And when you start off and you're already undercharging, it leads to you having to work over 40 hours a week. It leads to you, feeling sometimes trapped in your schedule because you're undercharging. You're so booked and busy, you're gridlocked in your schedule. You can't take on any more clients, or you can't even move people around. And also, it hurts your profit margin. When you're undercharging, you have to work so much harder to make the money you want to make, but also to make the profit you want to make. So that's area number one. So let's get your prices all the way together. And if you haven't taken my free pricing class, go on my website, ninatulio.com, and check out my free pricing class and just dive all the way into it. It's 30 minutes long. It's jam-packed with information, but it will start to get you on the right track when it comes to pricing. If you want to take it further, you can check out my Make That Money course. I have a self-paced version now. That's for my independent artists. And you can literally hop in there and get your shit so tight and together, and including your menu too, simplifying that a little bit. So you can check that out. It's just my MTM light self-paced version of my Make That Money course. Now, let's talk about overspending. How many of you are not keeping track of what you're spending in your business? You go out, you go to the beauty supply, you just buy some shit. It's like going into Target. You go in for one thing and you come out with 50. And you're not keeping track of how you're spending your money or where the money should be allocated. And you are like, where is all my money at the end of the month? You're working hard. And if you're undercharging, you're working extra hard. You're probably working over 40 hours a week. And then we add overspending to that. It's such a recipe for disaster, and actually is a recipe for burnout. I just want to say that, when you're profitable in your business, you feel good. You feel confident. And when you are making the money that you want to make, you feel empowered. And when you're not, and when you start to feel like you're showing up behind the chair and you're putting so much work in and you're not seeing the reward, that's where burnout happens. And I want to get you out of that mindset. So, two areas typically that we overspend in this business: back bar supplies, your rent, which, don't worry, I'm going to break all these down for you. And then we have the miscellaneous category. And, I'm going to add payroll in here too for my salon owners, my commission salon owners that are listening, because payroll is the absolute biggest chunk of expenses for my commission salon owners. It can range anywhere between 50 and 60% of total revenue that's coming in. And I don't want to say necessarily like we overspend in that area, but if you have a lot of support staff that you're carrying and you don't have the revenue to compensate for that, you could be well over what you're allotted when it comes to payroll. So therefore you are overspending. And I'm going to add that to my list, and I'll share with you the percentage, the target percentage that we're shooting for with payroll. So let me start at the back bar. Okay. First and foremost, I love my distributors. You should obviously be working with them, and you should be ordering from them, but on a consistent basis. So, either every week, every other week, or every month, right? Whatever works best for your business. Where we get into trouble is when we go into the beauty supply, because now you're just buying things at random. You probably don't have a budget that you're looking into staying, close to. And then you see all the things, all the shiny things, and then you just start buying shit. And it just doesn't make sense. And now you end up overspending. So when it comes to back bar, we need to keep track of inventory. So what I suggest that you do is every quarter, you should be comparing what you purchased to what you're using every quarter. And you should be reducing your on-hand quantities to suit that. So let's just say, for instance, so I'm 1N. I've been using 1N hair color for years. Not many people use it, so you probably don't need a ton on your shelf. But let's just say your on-hand quantity for 1N is 4. And let's just say you used a tube or a tube and a half. Now the computer's going to prompt you to order 2 more tubes, but when was the last time you actually used 1N? Has it been months? Now you're going to order these 2 tubes of color and they're just going to sit there for another 6 months until I come back or somebody else comes back to use it. And so your quarterly inventory report will tell you what you're using. You have to compare that to actually, what you're purchasing and what you're using. And if your inventory report says your 1N is at quantity 4 and you've only used 1 tube in the last 3 months, I would reduce that on-hand quantity from 4 to 2. So now you don't get stuck in ordering tubes of color that you've only used 1 time, and you're not keeping track of what that looks like in comparison to what you're purchasing and what you're actually using. So that's number 1. Number 2, get on a consistent ordering cycle with your distributor, whether it's every week, bi-weekly, or monthly, and that's it. Don't go into the beauty supply and just start spending money haphazardly because you just like going to the beauty supply. Just kind of steer clear and only go there if it's an emergency. Now, let me share with you the percentages. So I'm going to go down the line for my independent artists first because the percentages are different. And we go through all of this in my Synergy Academy for commission owners and make that money for my independent artists. And you'll see all of this. You'll have a budget worksheet that will help you understand how to allocate this. Independent artists, you are allotted now when you're ordering. So this isn't per service. This is when you're ordering either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. You are allotted 15% of your service dollars for the month to order on Backbar. Backbar would be considered color, developer, foils, brushes, bowls, all the things in the Backbar. 15%. Okay. So let's just say your service total, let me do this with you in real time. Let's just say your total service total for the month was $6,000 times 0.15. That means that you get to spend $900 in Backbar product for the month. Okay. Now, Backbar is a variable expense, meaning it's going to fluctuate every single month based on what your sales are. The other area that we typically overspend is miscellaneous spend. Now, for my independent artists, this isn't so much of a problem. This is more so for my salon owners, but sometimes miscellaneous spend can get out of control for independent artists too. Now, you're allotted 2% of your revenue for miscellaneous. So miscellaneous would be Amazon, coffee, teas, waters, anything that you snacks, anything that you order, drink wise for the salon. It could be a loan that you have in your business that you're keeping track of, that goes under miscellaneous, but that's typically going to be the same monthly payment. It could, make the miscellaneous category go higher than 2% though. Anything that doesn't have to do with your back bar, but you're still spending in your business, that area sometimes is inflated. Like this, again, this leans more toward my commission salon owners. You're also allotted 2% for that as well. But I see a lot of Amazon overspending, a lot of BJ's. I see a lot of, even Walmart, like paper towels, toilet paper, all of this stuff, gifts. Here's where the other miscellaneous comes into play. Gifts. Could be gifts for clients, meals for the team. I see that inflated a lot. these are things that you really have to keep in check in your business. So this not so much for my independent artists, but sometimes things get crazy and you just go off and start spending money. And then before you know it, it's a lot higher than 2%. And every single dollar counts because it goes against your profit margin. Now, I do want to talk about rent percentage. So, back bar and miscellaneous categories are variable, meaning they will flux every single month. Your rent percentage is a fixed expense, meaning it will only stay the same price every month unless it increases. It will not fluctuate every single month with your sales. Rent percentage is always a little tough, and this one is actually typically one of the highest that I see. And your rent percentage for my independent artist is should be 12% or less of your revenue in the business. Let's just say you are bringing in $8,000 a month times 0.12, you are allotted $960 for rent. Now, don't get me wrong. If your rent percentage is higher than 12%, it doesn't mean that you're not going to hit your target profit. It just means that we have to be careful of where we're spending because, as you can see, I'm just giving you a few categories here to keep in track. I have a whole list of categories that we have to look into when you take one of my courses. So we look micro, meaning we look at individual, and then we look macro and we look at the total expenses. And if you're spending high in one area, then we need to cut back in another. So I gave you back bar, rent, miscellaneous. That's for my independent artists. Let's go into my commission salon owners. Your back bar, you get 6%. Nina, why do we get only 6%? Because you're spending 50 to 60% on your payroll. And if you want to make a target profit of 20%, which is what I coach and teach to, we got to keep you around 6 to 8% for your back bar supplies. Miscellaneous, like I mentioned, you also get 2%. Your rent percentage, we like to keep anywhere between 8 and 10%. 10% would be the max. And again, this is a fixed expense, and this would be against your total revenue. And then for my commission salon owners, you also have your payroll, which we want to see at least 50% or lower. That's for my commission artists. So commission, back bar, 6% or less. We could do 8 if we had to. Rent, 8%. We could do 10% if we had to. Payroll, 50% or less. Miscellaneous, 2%. So run your numbers. Take a look and see where you're at in your business. And let's just say you want to see what your back bar spend is. So you would take what you spent for your back bar. So let's just say you spent $1,000 and you divide that by your sales, your revenue. So you take what you spend and you divide that by, let's just say you brought in $10,000. That's 10%. So you're at a 10% spend on your back bar. Let's just say for my commission salon owners, you spent $2,500 and you're bringing in $20,000, right? That's 12.5% that you've spent. So you take what you've spent on back bar and you divide it by your total revenue. And I'm sorry, for back bar, you divide that by your service dollars, and that's going to give you where you're at in terms of what you're spending. But I'm going to make it super easy for you. I have a free profit and product usage calculator on my website. Hop on over, ninatulio.com. I have tons of resources for you that are totally free. Go on over there and fill it out and see where you fall when it comes to profit margin and see where you fall when it comes to product usage, which would be your back bar. Lots of shit to think about. I know this is a lot of information, but these are the things that we have to think about in our businesses if we want to make profit, if we want to understand how we should be charging, and it'll help you stop discounting. Because when you know all of these things and you know where you're at and you're like, wow, I'm overspending in this area. I'm overspending. My rent is higher. Well, you know what? I can't discount, Linda, because I know where I need to be in terms of what I'm spending, and I'm not quite there yet. And I may also be undercharging. So, two biggest mistakes: undercharging, overspending. Let's get it all the way together. You guys know I'm always here for you. If you have questions, you can slide into my DMs at Nina Tulio on Instagram. And feel free to check out any of my free resources and even my classes. And I will see you during the next episode. Thank you.